Discipline is not a personality trait you're born with. Research in behavioral neuroscience has dismantled the idea that willpower is a fixed resource some people simply have more of. What we now know is that discipline is a system, built from identity, environment design, and habit architecture. The most self-controlled people aren't trying harder. They're using a fundamentally different operating system. Angela Duckworth's research on grit, published in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology, followed students, military recruits, and working professionals and found that self-control and perseverance predicted success better than IQ in nearly every domain studied. But more importantly, grit and discipline were found to be trainable, not fixed. The science has a clear framework for how. In this video, we are going to see what the neuroscience of self-control actually reveals, including the evidence for and against the willpower depletion model, and what specific strategies have been proven to build lasting, extreme discipline without relying on motivation. Research shows this pattern is more consistent across populations than previously understood. Studies find these effects are measurable and reproducible across independent research groups. The willpower model of discipline is both partially right and fatally limited. The ego depletion hypothesis, that willpower is a finite resource that depletes like a muscle, has been challenged by replication studies. What the research now suggests is more nuanced. Willpower fluctuates not because it runs out like fuel, but because attention, motivation, and perceived effort shift throughout the day. Discipline built on willpower alone is inherently fragile. Motivation is even less reliable than willpower as a discipline foundation. Motivation is a feeling. It follows action, not the other way around. Research in behavioral psychology shows that highly disciplined individuals report similar levels of motivation as less disciplined ones. The difference is that they don't wait for it. They have systems that trigger action regardless of how they feel in the moment. The environment you inhabit may be the single most powerful determinant of your discipline, more than your genetics, personality, or intentions. Research on habit formation shows that behavioral cues in your environment automatically trigger associated actions. This means discipline is largely upstream behavior, arranging your environment so that the disciplined choice is the path of least resistance. Research shows this pattern is more consistent across populations than previously understood. Research on habits by Wendy Wood at USC showed that 40 to 45% of daily behaviors are habitual, performed automatically in response to environmental cues without conscious decision-making. This is crucial for discipline. Once a behavior becomes a habit, it no longer costs willpower. The goal of discipline building is to habituate as many target behaviors as possible so they run automatically, taking them off the willpower budget entirely. Research on habit formation shows that the average time for a new behavior to become automatic is 66 days, not the often cited 21. Studies by Philippa Lowley at University College London found a range of 18 to 254 days depending on behavior complexity. Simple habits form faster. Complex multi-step behaviors take significantly longer. This is the realistic timeline for building real discipline. When behavioral scientists rank the strategies that produce the most durable self-discipline, they identify a consistent set of approaches that work independent of motivation. These are not character traits. They are skills and systems that can be deliberately built. Research shows this pattern is more consistent across populations than previously understood. Studies find these effects are measurable and reproducible across independent research groups. Implementation intentions, a strategy from Gabriele Erdingen's research, involves specifying exactly when, where, and how you will execute a behavior, in the format, when X happens, I will do Y. Studies show that people who form implementation intentions are 2 to 3 times more likely to follow through on target behaviors than those who simply decide to try harder. The specificity moves the behavior from the motivation system to the automatic response system. The neuroscience-backed framework for extreme discipline has 5 components, each addressing a different layer of the behavior chain challenge. Together, they create a system where discipline becomes the default output of your environment and routines, not a daily battle of willpower. Research shows this pattern is more consistent across populations than previously understood. Studies find these effects are measurable and reproducible across independent research groups. Building extreme discipline is not a linear process. It follows a predictable development curve with distinct phases. Understanding where you are in the curve helps you persist through the hardest phase and recognize when a behavior is becoming genuinely automatic. Research shows this pattern is more consistent across populations than previously understood. Studies find these effects are measurable and reproducible across independent research groups. The practical steps for building extreme discipline start with your environment. because environment design produces results without requiring any ongoing effort or willpower. Then layer habit stacking and implementation intentions on top of a clean environment. Research shows this pattern is more consistent across populations than previously understood. Studies find these effects are measurable and reproducible across independent research groups. The approach to building discipline should match your current situation. Where people fail is almost always in the implementation, either attempting too much change at once or relying on motivation rather than systems. Research shows this pattern is more consistent across populations than previously understood. Studies find these effects are measurable and reproducible across independent research groups. The evidence here is robust, replicated, and directly relevant to your daily health choices. Extreme discipline is not about having more willpower. It's about using willpower less. Environment design removes the need to make the disciplined choice consciously. Implementation intentions convert goals into automatic triggers. Habit stacking builds new behaviors on existing anchors. Identity alignment makes discipline feel like self-expression rather than self-denial. This is how the most disciplined people in the world operate, and it is completely learnable. The difference between people who are extremely disciplined and people who aren't is not a character difference. It's a systems difference. The research has mapped those systems in detail. You can build them starting tonight, with your environment, your planning habits, and the decision to design your life so that discipline is the path of least resistance. If today's video helped clarify something, share it with someone who needs it. Most people never see research summarize this clearly.